There's a question that almost every single one of us has probably typed into a search bar, hoping, praying for a simple, clear answer.
What is my ideal weight? It feels like it should be so straightforward, right? But the real answer, well, it's way more complex, and honestly, a lot more interesting than you'd think. So let's dive in and deconstruct this whole thing.
Here's our game plan. We're going to start by busting the magic number myth. Then we'll look at some, seriously outdated formulas and ideas. After that, we'll talk about a much better goal, finding a healthy range. We'll give you a modern health toolkit, explore all the reasons your weight is totally unique, and finally, talk about what health looks like beyond the scale.
All right, first things first. We have to tackle the biggest myth out there. This idea that there's one single perfect number on the scale that you were supposed to hit.
This right here, this is the heart of the matter. The absolute biggest shift you can make in understanding your own health is to realize that your ideal weight isn't some fixed point on a chart. It's a personalized range that's unique to you. Chasing one specific number, it's not just hard, it's just wrong.
So, where did we even get this idea of a single ideal weight? The origin story might actually surprise you. It all started with formulas that were never, ever meant for you or your personal health goals.
Yeah, you heard that right. This whole concept of ideal body weight wasn't born in a gym or a wellness center. It came from super simple formulas made for doctors and hospitals, and their purpose was purely practical. Things like figuring out the correct dose of a medication for a patient. It was a clinical tool, not a health target for the rest of us.
And get this, the formulas that are still most commonly used today, they were developed between 1964 and 1983. I mean, we're talking 40, 50, even 60 years ago. They're based on data from a totally different time. It's a truly ancient approach to modern health.
And here's where the whole idea of a single ideal weight just completely falls apart. You take the exact same person, right? You plug their numbers into these 4 common formulas, and you get 4 totally different ideal weights. So if the formulas themselves can't even agree, how could one of them possibly be the right one? It just shows you the whole concept was flawed from the very start.
Okay, so if chasing one number is out, what's in? What should we be thinking about instead? Let's talk about a much healthier, much saner goal, the healthy weight range. This is the big mental shift we all need to make. We are moving away from that rigid, discouraging, one-size-fits-all number, and we're moving towards something that's flexible, personalized, and holistic. It completely changes the focus from a stressful point on a scale to a much kinder, more complete view of our well-being.
And that's the key word right there, individuality. A healthy weight range recognizes that health looks different on everybody. It gives you a flexible target that actually makes sense for your body, not some random number from a dusty old chart.
So how do we figure out this personal range? We use a modern health toolkit. It's a set of measurements that when you look at them together, give you a much more complete picture of your health. The first tool in the kit is the Body Mass Index, or BMI. It's a pretty simple calculation just using your height and weight, and it's a good place to start when figuring out a healthy range. For most of us, a healthy BMI falls somewhere between 18.5 and 24.9. But, and you have to hear this part, it is just a starting point.
Next up is body fat percentage. This one is so important because it knows the difference between fat and muscle. Your bathroom scale has no idea. That's why a super muscular person can have a high BMI and be in incredible shape. This metric gives us a much clearer look at what's really going on.
And finally, we've got the waist-to-hip ratio. Now, this tool is critical because it's not just about how much fat you have, it's about where you're storing it. You see, fat stored around the midsection is linked to a higher risk for certain health issues, so this measurement adds another really important piece to the puzzle.
And now we get to the really cool part. This is where we see how it all comes together to create a picture that's just for you. Why is the one-size-fits-all number impossible? Well, because of all the things that make you, well, you.
I mean, just think about it. All these things make you an individual. Your age, your gender, your height, the actual size of your skeleton, your personal ratio of muscle to fat, and even your ethnic background. Every single one of these factors helps define what a healthy weight range looks like for you.
Let's just take gender as an example. Because of basic physiological differences, like men having more muscle mass and denser bones, a man could weigh 10 to 20% more than a woman of the exact same height and be perfectly healthy. That is a massive difference that a simple chart would totally ignore.
Even your bones matter. You can do a simple measurement of your wrist to get a sense of whether you have a small, medium, or large body frame. And it just makes sense, right? Someone with a larger, heavier frame is naturally going to have a higher healthy weight range than someone with a smaller one.
And, context is everything. For an athlete with tons of muscle, BMI can be totally misleading. And on the flip side, for adults over 65, some studies even suggest that a slightly higher BMI, maybe up to 27, could actually be a good thing, maybe even protective. What's healthy really does change as we move through life. So, after all that, what do we actually do with this information? How do we take this knowledge and use it to feel good, instead of just feeling stressed out about a number?
Okay, if you remember one thing, let it be this. These metrics, your BMI, your body fat percentage, your waist-to-hip ratio, they are not a final judgment. They are not a report card on your health. Think of them as tools. They're simply the start of a conversation, a baseline for you to understand your own body a little better.
And that conversation is best had with a professional. Seriously, these tools are fantastic for self-awareness and for learning, but they are absolutely no substitute for the personalized advice and evaluation you can only get from your doctor or a registered dietitian.
So let's leave you with this final thought, a new way to frame this entire topic. What if health isn't a number you have to reach, but just a way to live? Think about that. Thanks for joining us.